The Victory Cross Country, a bike loved by many and acclaimed to be the best victory motorcycle ever made by motorcycle.com in a 2017 article. This bike boasts a class-leading 41.1 gallons of storage space, 106 cubic inch workhorse of an engine, and rock-solid reliability. But does this bike have a dark secret? The one consistent complaint from riders has to do with the wind management. But not everyone seems to have this problem. Let's find out why, and most importantly, what can be done about it.
So this is my 2013 cross-country tour. It started as a touring model, so it came with 3 features that your standard cross-country isn't going to come with. It came with the lower fairings, these are the hard fairings, and then also came with lower wind deflectors that sit underneath the upper fairing, and a barn door of a windshield. So this barn door has you feeling like you're on a lazy boy watching Tim Allen and Wild Hogs. So that's the level of wind management that you start with when you have a cross-country tour.
After a couple of thousand miles and a fantastic trip to the tail of the Dragon, I wanted a little bit more connection with my surroundings and also a little more airflow to keep that Freedom 106 cool. I also despise looking through a windshield. So what did I do? I ripped off those hard lowers, threw those stock wind deflectors in the dirt, and took off for Oklahoma City. Shortly after, I swapped out the barn door for a shorter, sleeker windshield from Clockworks. Boy, did the bike look good then.
Immediately following those modifications, I said, let's take this thing to Arkansas with a half helmet, no earplugs, and going 80 miles an hour the entire time. The result of that trip was a massive headache, ears that ring for weeks and never fully recovered, and that trip rang my bell. So I knew I needed to do something. I couldn't stick with the configuration that I had, but I love this bike. I was committed to figuring out the best configuration for this bike.
Upon some additional testing, I discovered very quickly that the wind that was giving me the most problems was coming from underneath the fairing, over the sides of the tank, and was punching me square in the mouth. Now this was about 2014. Back in 2014, accessories were a little easier to come by, and I found a set of fork-mounted wind deflectors. These made a huge difference. No longer was I feeling that gust of wind from under the fairing, and the air was much cleaner. Upon additional testing, I realized that the Clockworks windshield wasn't quite providing the height and wind coverage that I was hoping for up top. So I went ahead and picked up a custom height shield from 7 Jurock. This shield has a flip and puts the wind in a great location while also allowing me to view over the windshield as a 6'2" rider. It also looks great as it matches the tint of my deflectors.
So that's where I've stayed. I locked in that configuration in 2014 and I haven't changed it since. We've been to Mexico, to Canada, to New Orleans, to Austin, Texas, to Colorado, 3 iron butts, and more trips to Arkansas that I can count. And it's been really, really good. It's been vastly superior to the wind management of the past while still allowing me to feel connected to the road. I was on a trip to Austin recently and I couldn't help but feel a little bit of that head bobble at 80 miles an hour, and it got me thinking, could it be better? What have I not tried? Could I try something else to improve it even more and make it more comfortable for those 1,000-mile days? This configuration, if you are going 300 miles, it is perfectly adequate. When you're going 1,000 miles in that day, you know, maybe we could get a little bit cleaner air. So that's what we're going to try here. What is next?
If you spend enough time in forums, Facebook, or anywhere Victory owners congregate, you'll see a consistent message and claim: get the Madstad. But there's another common claim, that the thing is uglier than a monkey's armpit. But could it be everything that people say? The ugly miracle that will kiss you with blissful clean air while also causing your eyes to bleed uncontrollably at the sheer sight of it? Well now, my plan is to answer that question once and for all. We're going to take my existing configuration and make no change other than a Madstad windshield. Let's find out if the hype is justified.
Alright guys, we're coming up to the end of day one with the Madstad. I installed it this morning. It took about 20 minutes and I've been riding ever since. You can see the sun is setting to my left, so it's time for me to give you guys my opinion. And my conclusion on this windshield is that I can understand the hype. It does make a difference from a buffeting standpoint above the configuration that I had previous to this. I don't get as much of that head bobble that I would get with my previous windshield, and that's worth it to me. That is pleasant. I'm going to continue to use the Madstad specifically for that reason. Let's talk about form for a minute. It's a bit of an acquired taste. I can see why folks might say it looks ugly, and to me it just looks different. It looks different than the other windshields that are out on the market in terms of having this gap in between your front fairing and the shield itself. But when we bought Victories, were we really trying to be like everyone else? Did we really want to look like everyone else? I don't think so. I think we bought Victories because it's a badass looking bike. It's runs like a bat out of hell, and it fits us. And be damned what anybody else thinks or looks. We all want to show off our bikes, and we all want to love the look out of it. I still love the look of my bike with the Madstad on it. You guys can tell me what you think in the description. I'll say the Madstad windshield is a function over form device. It is intended to improve your wind management experience, and I think it delivers on that. I think it does that while minimizing the impact to overall aesthetics to your bike, especially if you're able to do things like get a smoked out version and match your lower deflectors and all that. You can make it look pretty darn good. I think I have here. Let's talk about what we've learned. If you are riding a stock cross country and you're trying to figure out what to do, I'd recommend starting with the lower wind deflectors. That's what I did. It made a world of difference. I was able to ride nearly a decade with that configuration as being the major player in my wind management. It changes the dynamic of all that wind coming up over the tank and hitting you in the face. If you are comfortable there, stop. Pick your favorite windshield, pair it with it. If that's good for you, go ride 10 years with it. If you're looking for that next step, you want a little bit clean aero, I would go ahead and get the Madstad. I'd recommend it. And that's probably, at least for me right now, probably the best wind experience that I feel like I can get out of a cross-country Victory. So for me, for my preferences, this is the best I've ever had it. All right guys, let's talk about the Victory cross country. If you're that person that has purchased a cross country, you went out riding 100 miles and you got back and said, boy, did I make a mistake. Hang in there. You may have some buffeting issues based off of your current configuration. Take some of the tips that I put in this video, put them into practice, do a little bit of experimentation, and you can have a fantastic motorcycle that you love to ride. So if you're in that place, keep your chin up, try new things, read down in the comments, and you'll be just fine. If you own or you have owned a cross country, please put your comments down below. Tell me what's worked for you. Did you get a Madstad? Did it work? Did you get lower wind deflectors? Did it work? Did you do something else entirely? Share that with the community down below. Folks are going to be looking through and trying to figure out what's the best option. Does this guy yet even know what he's talking about? Your guys' comments help to vet that out. So if you have an opinion, share it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you got something out of this, and I'll see you next time.
I'm so gone. No, I'm never turning back. I won't stop. I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so